All right, now let's see Panama. Let's see how those people actually live. But first, we're gonna look some context, so we can have some information about those people. Let's start with population: 4.5 million people and rising. So look at this, growing rate going down, but people still rising. Now, 1955 used to be less than 1 million people in this nation, with a 2.6% increase. That's roughly 23,000 people. Migration on minus 2,500 people, median age around 17 years old. Fertility rate, one of those nonsense, 5.7, and urban population around 38%. Now fast forward to 2025, population grew almost by 5 times. This is 4.5 million people living in the same land, with the yearly change around 1.3%. That will be roughly 55,000 people. Migration 6,000, which is, again, they start from minus and then they got around 1995 on plus. Median age, now it's around 30. Fertility rate much more manageable, now it's 2.1, which is pretty good for them. Urban population around 70%. Now in the future, in 2050, they say the population is gonna go around 5.6 million people, with a growing rate about 0.57, and that will be roughly around 30,000 people. Migration still on plus, 2,500 people. Median age around 38 years old this time, and fertility rate got below replacement, now it's 1.85, and urban population around 82%. So you can see a trend in pretty much any country on earth. Population growth is going down, and in some of them then actually population is going down. Here is not the case, population is still going up, but at some point we're gonna see that population will start going down. Life expectancy here, well, you can see those numbers, those 3 numbers. It's lower than this one is lower than Costa Rica, and those infant mortality and death and rigid are higher, which it shows population it's on a growing side more than it was in Costa Rica. And also we're gonna see population very similarly, I would say, even around the year 2050. So it's gonna be interesting, those comparisons. But let's see now for the life expectancy for both sexes: 80 years old, females 82, males 77. Those are huge numbers. Infant mortality rate 10, and death at the age of 5, 12.8. Those are actually also huge numbers. Clear the medical system is not that well. Republic of Panama is clearly a Spanish colony, Spanish territory at some point, Spanish, I don't know, colonization, call it whatever you want. It was a lot of Spanish influence. Religion, Christianity 91%, and 7.6% are pretty much religion. I expect this part of demographic, the 7.6% for people with no religion, going up in all the countries. Usually religion doesn't play such a huge role in the future. Demographic, as you can see the pyramid here, some pretty high male surplus in population even by the age of 60. They have migration, so probably a lot of male from other countries, neighboring countries, go here in Panama and also in Costa Rica to work. Things are looking pretty well for them, so yeah, it's a much better life, I would say, here than in other places. They have some female surplus by the age of, let's say, 62 upwards, so yeah, not exactly that much important, but the male surplus here is probably from working migrants, I would say. Economy of Panama, well, let's see how well they're doing in economy. They have around 91 billion US dollar, which is not that much. In PPP, around 192 billion US dollars. Growing rate, look at this, 10% in 2020, so that's actually where they're supposed to be. But now 2020, 2024, they got below, much below half of that, even more than half, 5 and 4%. So not that great. Per capita is 20,000 US dollar, which is not that bad. In PPP, around 42,000. Again, pretty decent number. So I expect to be a similar situation with Costa Rica, but we're gonna see that. Agriculture GDP by sector is 2.4, industry is 15.7, and services 82. That 82 is gonna play a huge role. That's actually pretty great for them. Inflation, they have on minus inflation. Here in Europe we have like 5 points or 7% around that for inflation across the country. This countries here like minus 0.2% of, yeah, I mean it's deflation, but still the average guy probably should be example how things, because here in Europe they say, oh, you have deflation is worse than inflation. It's like, what? And here we're gonna have they have deflation, and I'm curious how things really are there. Is that bad with deflation, or is just on the paper? And again, the main exporter is going to be USA, the main importer is going to be still USA, so clearly US have a lot of influence in this region. Now corruption for Panama, well, not so well as it was in Costa Rica, so that's going to play also some role, I would say. Let's see how much they score here in Panama. They scored only 33 points and dropped 6 points, so that's actually a concerning number, I would say. High, clearly perceived as more corrupt country with a growing population, but the economy seems to do pretty decent so far, so it's going to be interesting how those things going together. So yeah, historically, well, not that much interesting, I would say. Like I said, it's pretty much a Spanish colony, whatever you want to call it. At some point when it was the Republic of New Granada. That's something like a New Spain or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see. Now let's go to the main event. How those people actually, how they compare those numbers, how you can put them together, those numbers that we see on the paper, and now comparing with the real life there, how things are really going up for those people. So we're gonna start here in the north of, they have clearly the Canal of Panama. I don't need to mention that. I think it's around this region. We're gonna check that if you want it. Just, yeah, fuck it. We are here in Panama, I might just check them. Now from above, that's pretty interesting streets here. And this is from the north. We're gonna start here. This is 2023, so very recently. Well, first of all, again, those cables, it is what it is, I guess, for this time. The roads, this one, the main road, pretty good. Now the housing in this region, not exactly that well, but I like the yards house. It's a big on the decent side, let's call it like that. Those cars actually looking pretty nice, especially this one. I'm not sure exactly which model it is, but it looks nice. There are clearly some housing in construction, but on the side streets, clearly the tarmac wasn't enough for them, so they didn't pave those roads. Now we are in the north of the country, again, border with Costa Rica, which Costa Rica is not exactly, again, a poor country. So even in Costa Rica, things are looking pretty decent. Here, I expect to see probably the worst of the worst, and to be honest, it doesn't look that worst. I mean, yeah, they have a lot of minuses, a lot of things that they're missing here, but in the same time, it seems to do pretty decent. Because it feels that they don't live exactly that jammed together. They have a lot of trees around it, even though there are not that much lands between, you can see, but that tree is gonna make a tremendous differences comparing with this one when actually they jam it together here, everyone. A lot of bars on the windows, not that much yards, if any yards whatsoever. Cars here pretty decent. This is 2023. This one it is, this one clearly it's not. Things here, I don't like it because, like I say, gates, bars on the windows, no yards whatsoever, cars parked on the streets, cables, like again, South America, Central America, houses, okay, not so bad, I give you that, but still, it's not gonna worth it. Yes, my opinion is just maybe even this part, this neighborhood, whatever you wanna call it, is gonna be even more expensive than the last one that we saw. Here, I kinda like this car; it's pretty nice and small. Yeah. Things here not exactly so much. I don't encourage this one, this type of construction, I have to say, but comparing with what we saw there, with this one here, clearly probably they're poorer here, but they have at least much more land. They have much more breathable space, for God's sake. It is better in my opinion. It seems like they're gonna have a much better, if properly managed, a much better future, but that's kind of a stretch. Also here they have the land to actually build right on them and keep the distance between them and the neighbors, and having like a nice streets there. It feels like, again, like a better bet, if you wanna call it. And here is pretty much the same story, I have to say. Look at this, nice lands, even houses is pretty good. Again, those bars on the windows, yeah, it's kind of deal breaker to me, but and those fences, it feels like you're gonna pay a lot of money for a fence like this, but problem is some problem with the crime rate. Even see that barbed wire there. Yeah, not exactly confidence inspiring, but the street is pretty nice. See, if I have a street like this, I'm not so keen to go for the paved roads. The paved road is gonna keep you a lot of heat in the winter, in the summer, so it's not gonna serve you well. I like those huge trees that's gonna cover the road, and it's not gonna get, let's say, that much sun on it, that much heat on it, which is pretty good. Here, yeah, they moved to the main road, which is pretty good. They have some banana trees here, as you can see. Not sure exactly what they put those plastic bags, probably to protect them from some sort of a disease or insects or whatever, or just growing in that bag right there, who knows. It looks pretty nice, I have to say, in Panama here. I kind of like it. Good road so far, and this is probably, look at how northern we are here. I'm not sure exactly if the reaches, probably usually you can go that far from the main one. On the main city, it's usually the poorest one, but we're gonna see that in a moment. Yeah, here the landscape pretty nice. I like it. Look at this, that's a nice place to visit. So far so good for them, and they have even some sort of settlement in that region from I can see. Yeah, from above. Well, probably not abandoned. Those are actually solar panels. That's pretty wildlife to live there. It's not gonna be actually too bad. Ooh, here on the beach, from the above, it already looks like a paradise. From a ground, hopefully it's gonna be a good quality 360, and it is a good quality, and it looks great. Yeah, Central America seems to look better than South America, and with a few exceptions again, but still, oof. I like it. I like it here in the Central America. It looks pretty nice. And yeah, they have that probably, like I said, all news here in Europe or in the Western world. They're like, somebody got murdered there, somebody is just horrible there, but clearly it's not going to be exactly the whole story. That's a cable or a tree? Oh, I think that goes a tree. Huge one, very straight. Yeah, beaches here very nice. Probably a lot of Americans and a lot of wealthy people are gonna choose to make some vacation here. It looks nice, let's face it. Again, they have to compete with Caribbean, and we didn't see exactly how Caribbean. I didn't make videos that we're gonna make it. Every single country, every single state, we're gonna go there to check them. Yeah, it's gonna be tough competition there. It's Caribbean, for God's sake, it's well known. But even here, if the price is right, you can spare a vacation here at least, see how those things are. Now here, those houses on the water, whatever it is, clearly not an ideal place to live. It's just the way it is, I guess. Hopefully they just keep them for tourists to just see how they used to live in at some point, but probably they are actually people living there, so yeah, not exactly a great place. Probably again they would move away from this one. The economy seems to do pretty decent there, so probably with time they're gonna move to an actually nice houses, not just those on the water, whatever. But that's gonna be in the future. Now, what worries me that corruption index gonna be kind of a problem, I have to say. Hopefully they can go down with that, but we will see. Here the roads, again, not perfect as you can see here, and it's just like I always go randomly on the map. I'm not choosing the good one, I'm not choosing the bad one, but you can see a lot of heavy trucks here that gonna damage that road pretty fast, so yeah. But overall pretty decent, and we have a road to that nice forest, pleasant to drive, let's say. Now this is probably, where is the Panama city? I want to see the main city. Panama city, it's right there. That's Panama. No, that's, yeah, Panama city is right there on the coast. Let me check that one. It is right here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check those two. Seems like they are two very close to each other, so yeah, let's check them both. Bars on the windows that high. Oof. Yeah, not a good picture there. This is 2021. Car fairly new. Ooh, this one actually is pretty nice. Cables, yeah, not exactly that bad in this one, but again, South America, Central America, not that differences in cables, I would say, is their culture at some point. 2022, now they improved the street view, but this blurring line just kind of don't like it that much. Now, I will not approve in any country, in any city, those guidelines for residential area. They should be absolutely banned. You cannot live in one of those. For a financial district, let's say, yeah, for the office building, that's a different story. But for residential area, I will not allow it. This is probably a very rich neighborhood. We saw some BMW, you saw some Audis here. But again, look at this, even with those cars, in these rich neighborhoods, look how they live. They have bars on the windows, for God's sake, and that right there, for me, it's a prison. I have no idea what this trash can like that. They should be banned altogether. Those ones, it's absolutely nonsense to me. That's a very expensive Lexus. So see, even if you have money in these regions and you live in a pretty decent neighborhood, I have to say, it looks pretty good. Although those cables not exactly for me, and those high buildings again that close to those small ones, it's not gonna be that nice. But keep in mind, those are rich people here, I would say, even by the European standards, from the Western standards, from the Panama standards, probably is gonna be definitely rich people, and they still live in a prison. See, that's what money makes you. You wanna stay in a city like this because you make money, but you're not gonna have exactly a nice life here. Yeah, on an inside, you might be like a prison, you know. It's gonna be nice on the inside, but you're gonna have bar on the windows and barbed wire here. So yeah, things are not looking great for them. It's just the way it is. So clearly, even in those neighborhoods, you have that, which is fairly decent looking. In the house department, yeah, they don't have yards, they don't have a nice land there. Oh, that's actually a pretty interesting house. But again, those bars, clearly the crime rate, it's absolutely a problem here. But yeah, you can see we have all the money in the world. We have pretty decent money, even by the European. Those cars very expensive in Europe. Nobody, probably like 10% of the population in Western countries can afford cars like that. But at least we do not have bars on the window, so that's important. I would say extremely important. Here they have one of those arrows here, whatever they are, so you cannot jump the fence. Yeah, they are very rich, some people here, but even those rich ones doesn't seems to do that well, in my opinion. I mean, when I see that rich neighborhood with with bars on the second level of the windows and the barbed wire on the fence, yeah, it doesn't exactly confidence inspiring. But this is 2023. All of those are new and expensive cars, almost new. So yeah, in car department they're doing pretty well. In roads, pretty decent. Now I don't like this garbage here, but it's nearly a trash. So yeah, but here it's not even, they don't have an excuse for this one. In Costa Rica we didn't find that, I think, or maybe very, very low. Maybe I didn't find it. Again, like I always say, we're going randomly on the map. I'm not choosing good side, I'm not choosing the bad side, but here it seems to have a bigger problem with trash than they have in Costa Rica. Roads otherwise pretty nice. Yeah, what the fuck is that? This one is absolutely horrible. They should not be allowed. Again, if you want to build something like that, at least you should have local architecture, I would say, something that's gonna inspire at least some elements. Are gonna say, yeah, okay, we are in Panama, we can see the difference. Now they just build them cheaply and high as possible, and clearly 100% ban them, forbid them, cancel them, whatever you want to call it, for residential areas. You cannot live in one of those. That's absolutely horrible. A house, an individual house, always better with yards. Now hopefully you're not gonna have that barbed wire and bars on the windows, but that shows me like a lot of problem here in this crime department. Here, let's say probably not so rich neighborhoods. Yeah, pretty bad. Again, bars on the windows, the same old story. Garbage in the front of the house. That's this guy's fault, not the city, I have to say. It's in a front yard, you have to pick them up. That's also your fault. Cables, oh my god, okay, it's just running wild here. You have no idea which one goes which. If you have some problems there with electricity, good luck with that. Here, just, yeah, not even close. Clearly not a nice neighborhood here, but look at this, how bars. Probably again, who makes bars here for windows and doors? They make a lot of money. They just pretty much look at this. They're using to everywhere. It doesn't matter where they have you can put a bar somewhere, you just use it. And those trash cans, whatever they have, absolutely horrible. Just ban them, all those together. Just no, thank you. Here, not even close to a good neighborhood, but like I said, we're gonna visit, see how those people are living. Yeah, those bars, I don't care, you put them these fancy flowers or whatever they are here, but you're not gonna make it look prettier. Let's face it, you just look in the same horrible way. Don't try to make it like it's something that it's not. It's still a bars on the windows, nothing more, nothing less than that. That's a fairly new car, and this is 2023, so very recently, so I don't think they're gonna fix that problem with crime and bars on the windows and doors. So yeah, things not looking that great here. Maybe you can see from above some good neighborhoods. Here they clearly have some more green, so I would say a bit better, but they're kind of outside the city area. Here also, probably it's a park. At least I hope so. I don't think the rich people living exactly like that. This one, yeah, gated community 100%, and you can see clearly much more rich, much, yeah, better, with a better income here, but not exactly that many trees. So you can see like the second tier, I would say, of the rich people, just a bit better. Wow, here we have on the round. Let me check this one on the rounds. Yeah, looking pretty nice. I like this one. Again, bars on the windows. It is what it is. See, you don't need a road that's wider than this. It's pretty good, but you have to keep your car inside. So yeah, the lanes here for the people not exactly that big, at least not for everyone, every single one of them. Oh, this guy just park a boat here. Come on, I can understand now. We're gonna visit the US, we're gonna check every single state, and they have those laws, and especially in a city, that you're not allowed to park the car in front, or you're not allowed to park the boat and all that stuff. You might say at the beginning, yeah, that's kind of a takeaway from the freedom, and which it is, I give you that, but overall they're gonna keep a much nicer clean of the neighborhood, of the city, and that it's kind of worth it, I have to say. This one, using some barbed wire here on the fence, it just again doesn't, it ensures me that the crime is low enough to walk, let's say, safely on night in the neighborhoods. A lot of banana trees, which I like it. We see that probably in Singapore, when you can actually see them in front of the houses, but there I think they go to prison or something like that if you try to take them, or at least you get a fine. So yeah, especially if it's a second attempt. Those cables, I'm not sure if you can survive overnight here, if they don't get stolen. Yeah, bars on the windows. This round neighborhood, pretty interesting concept. I like to see them that they're trying to do something different. Pretty nice, good for them. Now here they have some gated community 100%. We don't even have a street view there, but still barbed wire, and fortunately for them they don't have bars on the windows. Probably just a bit better neighborhood, but they are expensive. I mean, this one, it could be very expensive to live here, judging by look at these fences. That are expensive one. It's not gonna be cheap to build something like that. It's not gonna be even cheap to maintain. Clearly, look at this gated community. So yeah, but they have some barbed wire. They have even a label here. It could be actually electrified barbed wire, so stay away from that. This guy just, what are the plans? Okay, the plans looking pretty nice, but probably you have to pay monthly fee or something like that to maintain this gated community. So clearly not for the average person, I have to say. Those looking very those are not the parts on the windows, are just design elements, so yeah, it doesn't count. Those look like an electrifying wire, I have to say it. They have cameras, they have, yeah, clearly they try to defend the property and whoever lives there. And those, like I say, those gated communities, not gonna be cheap to live, I would say. So yeah, only the most, let's say, fortunate people are gonna live here. Yeah, house is pretty nice. They don't have bars on the windows from what I can see. They have those electrified, I believe, barbed wires, but yeah. And they have one of those, what is this, university, a school, something just across the road to them. So yeah, they clearly build, that's what overpopulation do. Keep in mind, Panama used to have less than 1 million people, and they grew tremendously in the last few decades. So that's what overpopulation looks like. You're always gonna have separation between people that are doing well and those people that are not doing well, because in the first place they did not need that many people. But I guess they didn't have that discussion with their own people at some point, when they should say like, okay, we do not need more than that. If you have more kids, they say, than one or two, they will be living in a much more poverty than you live. They're gonna have hard time finding a job. They're not gonna have that nice life. But I guess nobody have that discussion, and even here in the West, we still didn't have that discussion. But I believe that at some point, some politician is gonna come and say it, at least to make it out there. No, just being said, and then probably gonna get some backlash from that. for a while, and at some point I believe they're gonna, okay, maybe this guy was right, and we have to talk about this control overpopulated, because it's kind of insane. Now in Europe, population is all going down. It's not exactly that much of the issue, but the issue it's on migration for us. But for those countries that have a huge overpopulated city, and especially not just overpopulated city, but they used to have, like, again, like the Panama case, 1 million people, and they just grew by 5-6 times. That's a problem. In that such short of time, you cannot have that much growth. And even if you have that, the people how react to those changes that fast, and with being forced pretty much to living with that many people in such a small places, usually, like I say, population concentrate in big cities, you're gonna end up with you're gonna end up with bars on the windows and barbed wire on the fences. So that's the end of the line, I would say. Yeah, this garbage here, it doesn't bother me because it's very organized, so probably they have to pick and buy just one place, which is good. I'm not having a problem with that. This street actually looks pretty nice, except the wiring here, the wire from the poles. Roads a bit too wide, I would say, and I don't like to see car parking outside again their yards, but you need to have some big yards because you have to accommodate those cars. But it looks pretty nice in here. I mean, I don't think there's bars on the door, but doors, I don't think they're exactly bars on the windows. That's just like a design element there. This house looks pretty nice, so maybe just a bit better neighborhood here. Yeah, they have some bars on the windows. This looks pretty nice. I like this one. Ooh, that was an expensive car right there. Did you see that? That was a Corvette or what? Let me see again. Where that was, right here. Those are an expensive car right there. This is a Renault. I used to have a car like this, just on the station wagon body. Yeah, I like this one. It's not so bad, I have to say. It's pretty nice. See, it's pretty nice. Probably they have a bit better building code here. Yeah, not so bad. Especially here on this downhill. Looks pretty nice. I like it. They have some pretty nice places even here. See that money, that 20,000 per capita nominal, it's gonna translate in some numbers. Not for everybody, but it's gonna be pretty decent for some of them. So yeah, here in Panama City, some bad areas as always, some good ones as again always, but overall they could have they could have some hope here. The only thing that worries me is that those bars on the windows and that corruption. That worries me a lot. Oh, look at this barbed wire, very fancy. That worries me a lot. If corruption goes down, and population also has to follow, because it is pretty significant, from 4.5 to 5.6 million in the next 25 years. It's quite a lot, I would say. So yeah, they're gonna fix that too, but doesn't seem so bad. It doesn't seem. In crime rate, you have to do something with that. That's a huge issue, and I see that even in the rich neighborhoods, barbed wire and bars on the windows. Yeah, that's a huge problem. That's a huge one. Let's check some other area. Let's check the Panama Canal. I think we can see them. Let me see. It is this one, right? I think we just nailed them. I think it's this one. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe they work on that and they have some tourists here. This is 2015. But it looks like this is the Panama Canal. So yeah, people who probably work here, hopefully they're gonna do pretty well economically. And this one is on the other side. Oh, look at this. Look at those ships here. See, that's the Panama Canal right there. Look how close you stay to those gates. Everybody comes to see that. Yeah, and that's the canal. Look at the water, the level, how high it is here, then it's gonna go drop here. Pretty interesting. Not sure exactly how much time you need to cross this channel, but probably it's gonna take you at least a few hours. So pretty boring experience, I would say. It'd be nice to see it in the first few minutes, but then they just go to it. Let's check this one here. Probably just for docking sites and all that. Oh, they pretty much treat everything. Yeah, some residential area. Again, those barbed wires. How you can, and the garbage there, how you can cope with crime here? With having some pretty high corruption. Oof. Probably that's why it's hard to cope with them. We see also in Costa Rica, but not that much. I think here in Panama, and also it's closer to South America. Much harder job to control those. Okay, I say I'm not gonna stay too much, make this video as short as possible, so let's move a bit faster. Yeah, we saw some of those people live. I don't think it's gonna be any strange. When you see rich people living with barbed wires and bars on the windows, you can pretty much summarize the whole story. On the countryside, well, we already see Costa Rica, which was pretty nice, so yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that different here. But, you know, yeah, Panama feels more like for businesses because they have the canal, I guess, but not that much elsewhere, not that much other things, especially for vacations. I don't know, I kind of like Costa Rica so far. So if I have something like Costa Rica, it's gonna be a hard sell on something else in this region. Keep in mind, here on the southern border, not that much happening. So yeah, probably they try to avoid to have the connection with South America as much as possible. So yeah, probably they didn't build that much there. Probably this is how they import their barbed wire and the bars on the windows, and probably they came with people to, I don't know, test them, see if they actually you probably install it in your house. If you know what I mean. Yeah, things not that much interesting here in the southern border. Probably less interest to develop anything here. They have a road here, but I guess that's it. I don't even have a road here. They connect these two countries. Maybe here, just a small connection, but not that much, I guess. Yeah, they don't have that much interest. Oh, look at these guys. Yeah, here unfortunately we don't have a 360. I wish we can check the beach here. Let's check the village. Oh, definitely a village. Yeah, not that. I don't see that 20,000 per capita here. But again, as any other country, you're gonna have rich people and poor people, and no matter what you do, you're always gonna end up with those two at least. And now even more than it used to be. Like, used to have like a middle class. That middle class getting less and less, and those rich ones, they have more money than they actually need, so they don't even use the money in the first place. But who knows, maybe we're gonna change with time. Now, I guess for Panama, it looks pretty decent overall. Visiting here, well, not exactly, I would say, because they have the Costa Rica right next to them. So probably, like I said, it's gonna be more for the businesses here. For a vacation, especially with that barbed wire there and bars on the windows, I will not walk at night on the streets, that's for sure. Here, which is more remotely, I guess they don't have that problem that much, but still they're using bars on the windows. So if you have bars on the windows, again, probably it's something normal for them here. For us here in the West or in European in Europe, no, it's just no way, you refuse to live like that. Then it's not even close. But here probably they got normal with time. It's just say, yeah, that's how they live there, and it is what it is. The road's pretty nice. They're doing very well jobs with the road so far. I didn't see that much problems. Garbage, yeah, they have some problems, but garbage and crimes and corruption, those need to be fixed. Medical system also, and probably education as always. Let's check this bus station. Yeah, I cannot see it that close, but it looks okay. Okay, that garbage there doesn't look okay, so not so well. But at least when you take the bus, you're gonna have a smooth ride, because the road looks pretty nice. Why are you moving so slow? Okay, this bus station, pretty good. Pretty good. A lot of Hiluxes here, so they like Toyota a lot. Oh, this guy tries to cover his face or what? Oh, he's from the sun. Okay. They have a pool above the ground. It's not exactly. I have one. It's not exactly very luxury. Again, bars on the windows. This house doesn't have a fence, so probably they don't need it. See, they live more freely. and the other ones bars everywhere. Yeah, not a nice place, I would say. So yeah, I guess that was Panama overall. Not as nice as Costa Rica, but who knows, maybe they're gonna have the potential to with time. But they have a growing population, they have a problem with corruption, and they have a lot of barbed wire to sell, so I'm not sure exactly about that. But yeah, you have, at least you have Costa Rica, I guess. But if you live there, probably not exactly the worst place to live. But like I said, when you see rich people in the rich neighborhoods with even second tier of the rich people with barbed wire and bars on every single window, kind of feels like you should not live like that. You're missing out on a lot of good things, and bars on the windows and barbed wire is not one of them. Yeah, well, I guess that's the video. Check the other videos that I make. Well, overall I would say it is the border between whatever happened here in the south and what happened in the north, but in the center most likely. But still, you don't need to have that buffer state. That's why probably Costa Rica is doing better. You need to have that buffer state there between. So yeah, I can keep a lot of those crimes here, and Costa Rica do a bit better. Yeah, I hope with time they're gonna change it and it's gonna make it actually better, but we're gonna see probably in the next 25 years how they're gonna land. For Costa Rica, it's more clearly. For Panama, not so much, I would say. Yeah, check the other videos and see you next time.